Okay, some pretty massive crypto news has just come out over the past 24 hours. And this is actually very big news specifically for some altcoins. And I think the chance is very, very high that you own one of the coins which some very big news just came out for. As one of them is XRP, one of them is Solana, and the other coins you'll find out in this video. But overall, what I've seen happen over the past few days here is leading me to believe that if I had to make a list of just 10 coins that will go insane this season, these are the coins that will definitely make that list. And I'm telling you guys right now, if you look back on this video, probably in 6 months from now, oh, the amount of gains will be absolutely insane, ladies and gentlemen. That is one thing I can tell you right now. It's gonna be, I almost want to freaking jump out my window. Okay, I should not say. What I should say, however, is if you've not done it yet, make sure you press that like button. Let's dive into some of the crazy news going on. But I want to try to see if this video can get to 444 likes. If you're the 444th person, I will give you a nice little wink. Having said that, the biggest news by far over the past 24 hours is that something new came to Solana, which is tokenized stocks. So this is huge for Solana on its own in terms of price. I don't really know, right? I don't think anybody will buy Solana just so they can buy stocks on Solana. And this will bring with it a lot of other problems. But the fact that this is a completely new avenue for Solana is, in theory, pretty huge. The only question of the matter is, do the crypto bros really care? As of this point, no. But the fact that this is happening, it's really quite huge when you start thinking about it. I mean, this is just going to be expanded upon. Robinhood right now just also is to launch tokenized stocks over in Europe. And matter of fact, if we scroll through, there's also the Robinhood founder. Man, I have a couple of funny posts that I sometimes just... You know, when you don't even want to know some of the bookmarks that I've got, right? Those cannot be seen by anybody else because they're too freaking funny for the internet.
I believe it will make it easier to invest in American companies if you're outside the world. It will also bring the markets into 24/7 and fully on-chain and get all the benefits that crypto technology levies on these traditional assets. So I think it's time to move beyond Bitcoin and meme coins into real-world assets that exhibit fundamental utility.
So the nice thing that he's talking about, at least one of the nice parts, is that basically this is another curve that the crypto market has to get over, where people care just about memes and, you know, small-mindedness, so to speak, whereas we can also see this whole crypto space as encompassing everything. I mean, very often we talk about Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, and some of those main ones, encompassing world finance in a more real way. And this is yet another step. It's not as if multiple blockchains could not do it. It's about more of the adoption that's happening right now. And, at least in my opinion, a very big part, it's that everybody knows, right? And everybody starts actually tokenizing them. But regardless, more interesting things are happening. There's more and more of these companies as well that are going out there and purchasing Bitcoin, by the way, as some sort of reserves. But, you know, it's interesting. I don't care too much about that, though. There's 3 announcements that I want to share as well. First of all, President Trump says he will not extend the July 9th deadline and doubts the U.S. will make a trade deal with Japan. I think that was, again, one of the most important announcements of the past 24 hours. So, you know, in case you are trading the market in any capacity, you might want to know about this. Then by far the most important announcement of the past 24 hours is that the SEC approved the conversion of Grayscale's digital large cap fund into an ETF, which includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. And the main reason this is the hugest thing we've gotten in basically a long time for crypto, specifically in the ETF game, is because that basically means that right now there's an official ETF that includes XRP, Solana, ADA, etc., just in different ratios, right? But it basically showcases that from a ETF legal perspective, there's really nothing holding XRP back anymore. It's just a matter of the SEC approving it. But now it's changed from being a will it happen, will it not, to all it takes is time. And really, I mean, the time in that sense, people speculate on it a lot, but I think within a few months, let's say 4 months or so, we will have them. It's not a when in terms of years, it's weeks to months. And that has now been, because this, like they said, oh, we're looking into it yesterday, I think, or the day before. And then within like a day or two, the SEC approved the conversion. I think it's already insane how fast things are moving, and they will only keep it basically moving faster, accelerate. So just keep watching. I don't think it's going to take more than 3 months before we see ourselves either an XRP, a SOL, or an ADA ETF. Things are moving so freaking fast. But regardless, there's another third massive announcement, and I'd say it's this one right here. Senate passed Trump's one big beautiful bill. There was a lot of criticism between Elon Musk and Trump about this. Trump right now is going after Elon, also the opposite way around. They're going at each other significantly right now. But by the way, I should quickly note this. U.S. Secretary 𝗕𝗫 says he sees no inflation from tariffs, and Fed Chair Powell's successor is coming in as soon as weeks from now. By the way, that is not crazy news because it's an announcement of an announcement. What I did want to assert, but I just wanted to quickly make it clear, that the acceleration that I was talking about in terms of world finance, really, it's happening, by the way. But another acceleration part on the ETF front was here. Bloomberg raises approval odds for the XRP spot, Solana spot, Litecoin spot ETFs to 95%. It is coming most likely very, 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 very soon. It's just a matter of time. And by the way, if you're thinking of upgrades, whatever, for XRP, I believe one of the main reasons why the price did do pretty well just yesterday was most likely because of this. The XRP EVM sidechain is live on mainnet. After years of building with Persist and the XRP community, devs can now build, port, and deploy cross-chain and EVM-only dApps using XRP as gas with a bridge direct to the XRP. So the reason this is huge, by the way, I will probably make another video about it, is because a lot of people never touch anything outside of either the Solana or the EVM ecosystem. If you're wondering, let's say I want to send a transaction, right? Well, if I want to do that, what wallet am I going to use? Which currency am I going to use as gas? What chain am I going to do it on? Well, if it's EVM compatible, it basically all uses one address. So let's just say OX or 0x and a string of letters, right? And it's all, you can just easily, by copying that address, see all the different gases you have. There's actually a lot of apps that easily send it to all of them, for example. Whereas if right now you're using completely different chains, different ecosystems, not EVM compatible, you have different addresses. So OX for your Ethereum, your Binance Smart Chain, your Polygon, your Arbitrum. You can name this on and on and on. And then for XRP, you need a different one, right? And for another couple of coins, you need a different one. Whenever chains become more interoperable like this, it also means that people who have these DeFi applications can now have more overlap, because before you have to make it for two entirely different ecosystems. Again, it doesn't work with the same sort of accounts, whereas theoretically speaking, it's quite simple if you have a one-to-one peg of sorts that, in this case, if we look back here, you can bridge in between them. You know, making a bridge, it's pretty vulnerable. There's always big problems with bridges, but in theory still, as long as they're bridgeable, right, and as long as it's theoretically speaking one-to-one backed, whatever wrapped token they've got, because again, realize this, right, most of the, actually in theory, XRP and most of the XRP tokens, they live on the XRP ledger, and that's where they live. That's only where it exists, right? They're not necessarily meant to be dual chain. So what that means is there's a coin, XRP, on the XRP ledger, right? Let's just call it XRP. It does not officially exist on any Ethereum thing. What they could do though is they take this XRP one-to-one basis, copy it over so you can actually use it for DeFi, trade with it, etc., etc., etc. And as long as it's one-to-one redeemable, that's fine. Now, how this is slightly different than what I just previously described, which already is quite nice, is because this is a sidechain. So as you read right here, Axelar, what they've used as a bridge, is the first interoperability provider to connect the XRP EVM, bridging the native gas asset XRP into the sidechain. Additionally, the sidechain is integrated with SQUID as the official cross-chain transfer UI app for XPL and the EVM sidechain, elevating XRP's multi-chain capabilities. But the cool part is, like I said, that here you actually have XRP serving as the native gas token for the XRP EVM, which again is different than just, for example, being able to hold your XRP or whatever in a wrapped form on something like Ethereum, right? In this case here, we have actual XRP EVM, so we have XRP as gas, which is quite cool. Long story short, for all of those for which this is too technical and they don't care, it's just quite nice. It allows for many more apps to come on over. A negative side is well, actually there's a few negative sides, but let's just say the most important one is it allows for a few more vulnerabilities, and some people think this is unnecessary, not necessary. You're broadening out an ecosystem that doesn't need broadening out, but then again, who are you to say that, right? I mean, these guys have probably thought about it for a long time. Should they not do it? There's a lot of pros and cons to every single major decision with a platform like this. I personally think it's quite huge. A lot of people were against it, but it turned out that it came in. And I always say, don't think too much about what woulda, coulda, shoulda. They've made the decision. Now the question is, do you still support it, yes or no? If the answer is yes, well, then freaking good. If it's no, sell your freaking coins and move on. If you're thinking about these things for too long, you mess yourself up too freaking bad. Ultimately, since you're not making any decisions, right, you're not the one choosing what the next step is going to be. It doesn't matter that much, in my opinion, you know. I don't think you should always be arguing on, oh, but they should have done this, they should have done that, they should have done that. If you're not a person being able to make the choice, if you don't really fully understand every single detail that went into it, right? If you do, by the way, if you're a person that reads every single report, you know all the ins and outs, and you're actually writing out there to give your basis as to why they should remove it or why it should not have been done beforehand, fine, that's good. But just commenting, no, because, with bland arguments, what are we doing, right? They've thought about this for a long time. It took many, many years for this to come in. I'm excited for new features. I'm excited for new things to just be excited about, really. I'm an excited person in general. And this is something pretty cool. To me, at least, because XRP used to always be its own main ecosystem, but right now, finally financial compatibility. To me, I think this is literally one of the biggest announcements that's come out ever for XRP, probably top 3. So for me, this is absolutely huge, but we'll talk about it a bit more later. I didn't even want to explain anything in this video, but it just caught off guard because I'm happy today. I'm having a good day, all right? I really am. I hope you guys are having one too, because even though the crypto market's in a bit of a strange spot, you know, when I do these videos, sometimes I realize I talk quite fast. If you're watching this far into the video, let me know, you know? You think it's too fast? Should I slow down a little bit? Or is it like a nice watching speed? I mean, you can always do 2x or 0.5. But sometimes I think the average person watching is 40-some years old, or 35 to 44. There's also some people watching at 75, some people that don't speak English. I should probably be talking like a normal person, easy to understand, very, articulating. But that's not me. Anyway, I was going to say, even though the market's a bit iffy-wiffy, yeah, I got a couple of cool trades in, and really, I realized I should also just be buying a little bit more of the S&P. We peaked again today. I made a video just last night, right, about buying the S&P, buying gold, buying oil, and etc. And I realized it's actually up 1.5% within a day on the freaking S&P and gold. And then I realized, why am I not buying more of that over on my crypto accounts? Because right now it's becoming more and more of a big thing. I should be doing that. Anyway, more stuff coming up tomorrow. I got a couple of cool video ideas, so stick around. See you guys again for another one, and that's about it for right now.